And we're live.
Awesome. Well, that's my cue. Hello, and welcome to Buzzed HR, where HR, tech, and AI collide, and we say the things that you're probably already thinking, just maybe a little more out loud. I'm so excited. I'm Marnie. I am with my friends Shri and Coreyne, and every week we're going to go down the hottest takes in people, performance, and the future of work without the corporate spin. So no buzzword bingo here, no watered down panels, just smart people, sharp opinions, and occasionally slightly unhinged honesty. Brought to you in partnership with our friends at Engagedly and Progressive HR Brand Partnerships Network. We're bringing less hype, more signal. Let's stir it up. So, Coreyne, I want to kick it over to you. So, we're going to have a new topic every week that we do this, and it's not going to be your standard how to do performance reviews, you name it. It's going to be talking about real things in a practical and maybe a little edgy way. But your topic this week was AI apocalypse. I was like, oh, that's so perfect. So, I'm going to kick it over to you. What's top of mind for you?
Yeah, well, a lot of people think about AI apocalypse. They think of like the destruction. So we're not talking about the destruction of AI. We're talking about how AI could bring an apocalypse to humankind, specifically in the markets and jobs and every other thing that we maybe hold dear. And so this all comes off of that crazy fun maybe is too big of a word, article that came from, and I have it actually up here. Actually, I don't. I'll get it up here because I want to make sure that I am reading. Oh goodness, it's like the 2020. It's 2028. What is it? The 2028 AI
guys wrote us.
Yeah. I actually had it. I had it up before I went to our YouTube channel. So I'm gonna find it again here.
What guys wrote it?
It's some analyst group called Citron. I don't know the investment people, or I've never heard of them before. And suddenly they got a lot of notoriety from this because it is 2028 or
2028 is what they're talking about.
Okay, so that's sooner than I think. Okay, fine. 2028, bring it on. So 2028, we'll have 20% or 30% unemployment, GDP through the roof, but there are no buyers because people don't have jobs. Robots are taking over. But you know what I did, though? To prepare in advance, I created a AI shield. You want to see it?
Yeah.
So I think we can share it.
This is cheap. You can buy this at Aldi's or Walmart or wherever. Tinfoil hat, you put it on, and somehow magically it protects you from AI. And I realized it actually does a great job. The moment I wear it, I look like an idiot, and no AI can touch me anymore.
So, exactly. You're no longer a vetted resource. Like
right. I'm no longer a threat to AI, so AI will just pass me right by. So,
oh my goodness.
But anyway, I'm gonna keep this safe because I'll need it in 2028. So I'm gonna keep it on the side.
Yeah. Can you make me one too, Shri?
It's very easy, actually. I think I can teach my dog to make one too. It's so easy. I'll send you the instructions.
So we're talking about the Citrini Research Group, and the title is the 2028 Global Intelligent Crisis. And so it is a random Substack about how we're going to have this crisis in 2028, and the catalyst already happened. So the catalyst was in December when models changed, when AI models changed. And that we saw the first reactions from the catalyst by Jack Dorsey's memo that he was laying off 4,000 people. Mm-hmm. So I read part of the article. I love it. Like, it doesn't scare me one bit. It makes me laugh. So, and go ahead.
No, it references goes to GDP, which we have in Shri's background. Like that's basically what it's referencing.
Yep, goes to GDP. So there's lots of cool things in this article. Here's one of my favorite lines. Swaths of companies built on monetizing friction for humans disintegrated overnight. So if you think about it, there's tons of companies out there that have built let's take Meta, for example. Yeah. How, what is it? I forgot his name. Mark Zuckerberg. He just bought that like super $1 trillion house in Miami on a little tiny island only meant for 40 people. Okay. so many companies built their organizations off monetizing friction for humans. And one of the reasons I love this Substack is because it's basically kind of shining a light on like, okay, AI is shining a light on things that are broken, shining a light on the things that maybe humans shouldn't have to deal with. And I love, it's going to completely disrupt our whole monetary system. And it's going to be hard for some people. I mean, obviously the people that get laid off, it's going to be hard for companies that are getting disrupted. But at the same time, should they have, like, devil's advocate, should they have really been building this stuff off of our backs?
Yeah.
That's my take. So I'm going to actually leave you guys with that while I go to the YouTube channel and make sure that I know we're streaming. I saw we're streaming. So I want to catch the link for everybody. So you guys discuss.
Yeah. Well, there is this belief, which I think could be true, but it's happened in the past multiple times. Every time there's a technological revolution, gobs and gobs of people lose their jobs. It happened during the agricultural revolution, where people use combines and tractors, and we didn't need 70% of our people working on fields anymore. Now today it's like 2% or less. And then it happened industrial revolution, where horse buggies were replaced by cars. And then it happened during the whole IT and manufacturing outsourcing, where a lot of jobs went to India and China and Vietnam and all of those places. And then there was Japanese cars and all of those. So every time there's an upheaval that happens. So I'm trying to understand, why would it be different? Because we've always learned how to adapt. Yes, there will be 10 to 20% of the people who will lose their jobs, and more than that probably will be eliminated over time. But will that create new jobs and new opportunities to do things? So I don't see why it would be different, although I don't know how it will be different, to be honest. So it's like I just don't have an answer that it's not going to be different, even though my belief it's not going to be different. But I don't have an answer of why will it not be different this time? Because potentially, if you just look at it from face value, millions of jobs can be eliminated today, right? You can have driverless cars today. If regulations weren't a friction, you would have them. Elon Musk wouldn't waste a minute putting them out on the streets all over the country, right? You wouldn't have millions of fast food places being replaced by robots, or you could have, there are so many different places where AI could be used with just the technology we have today, right? All the call centers, we have enough of a voice models today that can understand and have a conversation like a real human. That's millions of jobs in call centers, So anyway, and support, tech support, all of that. There is a lot of jobs that can be done today. So, but I don't know how it is going to be different. All I can do is wear this tinfoil hat, and hopefully it'll be different.
Well, I mean, you go back to the conversations we had, like, when I say we, I mean, like, about the blockchain. We thought the blockchain, the distributed ledgers, were going to be this miraculous thing to come about and disrupt all these systems, and finally give the common man ability to do their own shit.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing when we talk about AI. You talk about, like, if you look into this memo, it says you went from these legacy SaaS companies charging an arm and a leg and having consumers, being the companies that their clients, underneath their wing, to somebody going, and this is, I think, Marnie, we were talking about this the other day, bossware, where someone's saying, man, I'm so tired waiting for hours on end for blank support. I'm just going to go and I'm going to go fix this myself. And they go to to Claude Cowork and they say, I need this, like in like language, I need this, I need, XYZ. And it spins it out for them. And they're like, now I could do away with the SaaS. And now because I built my own thing and the memo makes, or memos that keep saying memo, but it's Substack that keeps saying the conversation about like, okay, so think about how this spirals. So the company says, hey, I don't need you anymore, Workday. And Workday is like, oh, I lost this. So now I'm going to need to lay off these people. And another company says, okay, Workday, because I have this AI and now I'm more productive, I'm laying off, 1,000 people. So that's 1,000 less seats that you can charge me for. And so then there's less money for these big companies to spend. So they lay off more people. So then those people don't have any money, and then they can't go to Target anymore, or they can't go to Starbucks and get their lattes. And so then Starbucks goes out of business. And so if Starbucks is going out of business, then all their employees don't have any money to go to Target or Starbucks or whatever. In the US, we spend, our hard-earned cash on. I say that because I go to Starbucks a lot. And so it just kind of, is a spiral. And then it's, okay, so now the average person can have agents. And so insurance is dead now because the insurance moat is, it takes too long to switch. But agents, it takes less than 5 minutes to go to find the perfect insurance, and the consumer switches. The one I like the most is when they're talking about, like, we get charged, and this happens to me a lot, for the life of me, I cannot cancel my Apple subscription. It just sends me in a loop. And I've even been to the Apple store and tried to, so I'm living with Apple charging me $9.99 a month. And I'm pretty sure that there's probably over 2,000 people, getting app. And so Apple's going to, if agent comes about, Apple's going to lose all that money.
So what you say is really interesting with the agents, because to me, like, and this is from a novice terms, what does that really mean, like, agent? Because it's like, we talk about agents cannibalizing feature sets of software companies. And agents could potentially cannibalize even just human workers, like knowledge workers. So when we think of agents, like, I'm picturing apocalyptic, like, robot agents that maybe you can't see and touch. But is that the difference that Shree's referencing, like that agentic type approach?
Shree, I don't know. Why don't you answer that?
Well, I'm just trying to understand the discussion here. What you are trying to say is that because of the spiraling effect of agents, people will have fewer and fewer jobs, and we'll have a large amount of unemployment. Is that what you're trying to say there, Coreyne?
Yeah, so there'll be large amounts of unemployment, and because people are employed, they can't spend money, because they can't spend money.
Right. And I think that's what I was trying to because this kind of revolution has happened multiple times, and every time there's a pattern of depression, and then we come out of it. And I believe we will have the same effect again, because this is a new technological disruption. It's going to have an adverse impact initially on employment and overall human psyche in society initially, but we will come out of it just like we came out of outsourcing, and we came out of industrial revolution, and we came out of agricultural revolution, and so on and so forth. Because we invent new ways of doing things, new jobs that we don't even know might exist in the future, right? We didn't know there was a job, something called programmer, 100 years ago would exist, right? We didn't know a job called a prompt engineer would exist 5 years ago. We didn't, so the new jobs are being, and now there's a new job called agent builder that I am hearing a lot. And my belief is there's going to be an internal role for agent builders in almost every organization over time. At least the ones who are progressive will try to look at it and say, how can we automate some of this work building our own agents? So there's going to be new jobs. So my contention is, yes, there'll be problem. Yes, there will be unemployment. Dario Amodei from Anthropic is famously saying, and again, not just once, he's gone around on a talking tour of saying how his tools, which is, he's the Anthropic cloud guy, is going to create 10 to 20% unemployment in the next 5 years, 1 to 5 years. Is that going to happen? Most likely it'll go towards that, but I don't think we will get there, because we will figure out ways to invent new businesses, invent new jobs, and do things that are not necessarily on the lowest part of the Maslow's hierarchy. If we think about how many jobs we actually do that actually cater to the lowest end of Maslow's hierarchy, we don't do those jobs much anymore, right? We are not actively building shelters or sewing clothes or harvesting tomatoes and beans. We are working at a level above that, right? You might be doing that. I'm really good at killing vegetables, so I stopped doing it, and spare the lives of poor tomatoes. So I think that's my contention, is that we will invent new jobs to keep ourselves occupied while we still are on the planet. Some of them may be destructive, some of them may not be as productive, and some of them may be just moving pieces from one place to the other, and somehow you get paid for that. But I think it's going to be painful. People are allowed to upskill and learn new skills. There was no such thing called derivatives trader, 60, 70 years ago, right? Or 80 years ago. But those are new skills an actual trader may have to have learned at some point. In the future, there may not be derivatives trader anymore, because agents might be doing it, right? So I think that's what I'm trying to communicate, is that I feel like it'll be bad, because it'll be in the fog of war of this AI, because we don't know what's on the other side. But I believe there's another side that's land and not just more water.
So what I hear you saying is the death of the knowledge worker isn't imminent. That there'll be it's just going to be a transition to something new.
There's a short-term death, but then they'll be revived in the ICU.
Well, I think a bunch of things that you're mentioning here, Sri. The first one I want to say is, I'd like to apply for the role as human. Can you? Yeah. I'd like to have a job application and be like, I'm job description human in companies.
I'm a tin hat maker. That's
Yeah, I mean, it's not very good. I think an AI robot might make a better hat than this crappy one. And I think it's because I bought some off-brand, store-brand version versus the real folder. Or
you need to go full brand with that.
I need to go full brand. This is not going to protect me from Terminator. I need to get good at it.
The other thing I was thinking about when you were talking about that, Sri, is so we mentioned 30% unemployment. Okay, so my first non-family job was in Cadiz, in the Chamber of Commerce, in the Foreign Trade Department. Cadiz at that time had 40% unemployment. This is the region, the city itself, and this was when I was in my 20s.
There was 40% unemployment at that point?
40% unemployment. Yep. That's Cadiz is in the south of Spain. And the region itself had 40% unemployment. And people were very ingenue. A lot of people started their own companies. A lot of people spent time helping their neighbors and getting reciprocity from that. I mean, they figured out a way through. What they didn't do is they didn't go out and spend unnecessarily on things. And they really
that you spend on cars.
Yeah, well, they didn't have Starbucks in Cadiz. But
every time I look at Starbucks, I'm like, I can make that coffee for 15 cents or 20 cents. Mm-hmm. But then I don't make it, because who wants to make a coffee with the foam and this and that, the other added to it, right? I mean, that's just a lot of effort.
But when you do, and the people who decide they're going to do it, what do? They go buy a $750 home cappuccino machine that's going to take 2 years for them to get their money out of it, or they just quit trying to make it at home.
Right. And it breaks. Then they don't know how to fix it. So then it ends up in the trash.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, see, you guys make a good point, but that's where the entrepreneurship comes in. Is that people who are in rough spots think of new and novel ways of making money. And not that I'm anti-institution, but our economy functions because we have so many W-2 workers.
Yeah. Here's the positive side of things. We make enough, and when I say we, I don't necessarily mean America, the world together. So some countries less, some countries more, America definitely more. And we produce enough food, we produce enough clothing. I mean, whether we actually don't produce enough clothing, we buy enough, we can import enough. But as a world, we produce enough clothing. I read the statistics somewhere, and this was blew my mind. We make like 1 billion shoes every year. We have on a population basis, like 3 to 4 pairs of shoes per every living person on this planet. We don't need that, obviously. I'm talking about everybody, right? I have 20 pairs of shoes, but that's different. We should not talk about that on the show. But
you have more shoes than I have.
I was a shoe hoarder for a while, and then I decided, you know what, it's probably not good for the planet. I probably should stop. Anyways, I did stop. But I don't want to throw them away. I want to keep it because they're still nice shoes. I look at them every morning, and
they have sentimental value to you.
Yeah. So we have enough of that, right? So if we have enough of food and we're producing enough of food, and now we have new technology and better technology where we can make more of those and faster and cheaper and with fewer humans. So resources for the Maslow's, I'm going back to the Maslow's hierarchy of the bottom part is not going to be a constraint. Everybody in the planet who's living and breathing can afford or should have access to, I'm not saying afford, but should have access to sufficient amount of food, clothing, and shelter, and so on and so forth. What may they not have access to, which is what I think the real problem you're talking about, is purposeful work, right? Because you could have all of that, and if you don't have, and you could just get fat and lazy and die prematurely from depression and lack of friends and diseases and things like that. Sometimes more because you have more of those and you have less work for it. And that's another problem as a society we have to come to grips with. Right?
Yeah. I think you've seen that evolution over the past few years, and then AI has sped that up. I mean, we went to more of a distributed workforce. You started to see the rise of remote, because of technology, the rise of remote work and the rise of these distributed workforces. And then you had the pandemic, which forced the hand to send everyone home. And then all of a sudden, HR professionals in particular are having to deal with being the person who's dealing with IT. They're dealing with, emotional and mental well-being of people that they can't see, touch, hear. And
Right.
then now enter AI. And that just adds another layer of that disconnect to meaningful work, which I can see that being our next big HR challenge and hurdle, is that, like, how do we keep people connected?
So HR, I have a very interesting question for you, since you guys are both in HR and HR professionals. We have, the way we define HR up till now, and at least for the time being, it shall continue, is human resources, which is managing and keeping our people engaged and happy and productive and all of the above, right? And growing and things like that. But we'll have agents. So are we going to have AR agent resources, like a role called AR that is like a peer to an HR working together? I have a person now who's an AR who manages AR agent performance and agent engagement, and an HR who works with HR human engagement.
Well, aren't agents not supposed? They don't care about engagement.
Well, I don't know. Some of these agents are being very, very tricky. I don't know. Some of these agents are acting like humans, right? They're faking it in some cases. I'm obviously. Yeah.
Right, but it's been talked about
in some cases, but I'm not talking about necessarily engaged, but in terms of deploying and managing agents and giving. I'm talking about even, let's say, even rating an agent, or how effective that agent is, and how do we improve that? How do we give a performance review, if you will, right? How do you do that?
Go ahead, Marnie.
Oh no, I totally think that some version of AR is going to be the case. Now it's a mindset shift. Like, it depends on how sophisticated agents get, and what you train them to be. But you can either use them as a tool, and then in that case, it's an HR tool. It's a tool in an ecosystem that we probably will have responsibility for, because it's kind of that part of the workplace ecosystem. But to your point, what does that interaction look like? And from an HR perspective, you could pivot one way or the other. So if I'm a typical HRD or head of people, like, I could say, not my thing, it's going to IT, or I could lean in and say, I'm going to become an expert, and I'm going to actually be the master of the agents and the ringleader. And so you could really be advantageous with that.
Yeah. I think the HR role is going to change in the next few years. I think people are probably underestimating in the way it's going to change. I think one way it's going to change, obviously, is that you have to keep, people, retrain them and get them engaged, and you'll have to probably do a lot of, to be honest, let a lot of people go who can get retrained, or you just shrink as an organization because you can do more with less people. But then you'll be hiring more people and training them and things like that. So that change is going to happen for sure. But the fact that you'll have the impact of agents with humans, that impact and what that means from an HR perspective, I think is still, nobody's thinking about it. And I don't know if you can think about it right now anyway, because you don't know how it's going to impact.
Bridget says, I hope that HR uses agents to do lower level, tedious and routine tasks, that those employees are freed up to do higher level, more rewarding work and training and upskilling. And then she also gave us a little LOL to one of the funny things we said. So Bridget's our number one, our leaderboard. Cause YouTube has a leaderboard now. So Bridget.
How do we know Bridget is not an agent? How do we know that? Do we know Bridget is not an agent?
Because I know Bridget.
Oh, okay. You know me. All right,
Bridget, are you an agent?
That's going to have to be a screening thing that we're going to have to do, in HR as well.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. That agent that contacts, she says, thanks, I'm real.
Love it.
Here's the thing, right? Will you be upset if tomorrow you have a robot that walks your dog, cleans your dishes, does your laundry,
I like doing laundry, Sri.
Huh?
Oh, I like doing laundry. I don't have a dog. They can do my dishes. But I don't want them doing my laundry.
Grocery
I don't
shopping.
know my husband doing my laundry. No,
Yeah,
can't do grocery shopping. I'm
do that. No.
Bridget says, could the robot smoothly handle all of onboarding for me?
Probably. Yeah, probably. To some extent. Although the individual may not like it. They're
right.
Humans, I want to talk to a human.
It's like even with the car industry, like you can call in, like if they're using AI, like the first time you call into a dealership to say, hey, do you have this car? And you're talking to an AI agent, there's going to be some people who are like, this is freaking cool. Like, yeah, let's do this. I want to see how accurate it is and see what car it picks out for me. But if I'm someone who likes that human touch, I'm not. But if I was, I might be like, yeah, no, I'm not going to work with this dealership. And that's where I think we're going to go to, even from an HR standpoint, from a company standpoint, is it's based on personal preference. And there's still,
now. And there may not be a choice in 20 years from now or 15 years from now.
That's fair. Yeah.
I think that's the difference. And there were people I was very resistant to cell phones when the first cell phones came out. I really did not want to have a cell phone. That I was forced to have one because I worked for a consulting firm. They're like, everybody has to have a cell phone. Mm-hmm. And then look at me now. I'm like on my phone all day long.
Was your cell phone like this small or was it like this big?
Well, mine was at Qualcomm. I don't know if you know the old Qualcomm phone. It was like a big black. I don't know if you can see this, but a big black. It was like a brick, but not a huge brick. It was fairly big. Yeah.
Yeah, the first cell phone that I ever used, which was my dad's cell phone. It was like the 80s.
Yeah, no,
it was big. Like it was past your head and you had to have like a backpack for it.
Yeah, mine was like in 90, it was in 98, 99. So it wasn't, fairly recent. I know it's not recent for a lot of young generation, but for us, it's still day.
So we're at the half past time. So it's time to wrap up. I don't know who wants to wrap up since this is the first.
I just want to say that I hope this tinfoil gives me protection because I'm going to keep it. But that being said, I will say that there's always fear because the fear is of the unknown. If it was known, we wouldn't have fear because we wouldn't know how to act accordingly. So the fear is always because we don't know how it's going to be. So we assume the worst. And I think that's what's happening.
And I think we're getting pinged, not pinged. We're getting poked. We're getting poked by the markets as well. So
yeah, we didn't even get to the markets. That's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
But I will say for anyone future listening, like these are the type of topics we want to talk about, and so if you have ideas, if you're listening to this later, you name it, if you have ideas, send them our way. If you want us to talk about it, happy to toss it about.
Yeah. And we are live every Thursday at 3 p.m. Central for half an hour talking about, as Marnie said, slightly unfiltered HR futuristic topics.
Awesome.
All right. You want to say anything, Shri?
No. Thank you for joining. I hope the worst doesn't actually come true.
May the force be with you.
All right. You guys want to stay on so we can debrief ending the stream. Thanks for watching, Bridget.
Bye, Bridget.
Bye.
Number 1.